Hi, I'm Elsie, and welcome back to my series on learning objectives for data visualization. Today, we're going to be talking about using learning objectives for data visualization design. If you haven't seen it yet, check out our previous video on how to create learning objectives. But now we're going to dive into how they can be helpful for when you are designing and choosing amongst several designs. Let's get started. Just a brief recap. A learning objective is the outcome of what the viewer should be able to know or do after seeing the visualization. They come in the form of the viewer will verb noun. For example, the viewer will recall the percentage of plastic that gets recycled, or the viewer will compare the carbon footprint of beef compared to chicken. In this very simplified design process, we start by defining these project goals. So now we're going to use those goals to design and iterate and choose amongst design. Even if we just consider one simple data set of 6 points, we could come up with 100 different visualizations. At least that's what Ferdio did. Look at all these great visualization designs, and they're all from the same exact data set. And that's not even considering ways to use color, ways to frame the titles, and add annotations, or visual embellishments. All that to say is there are a ton of design decisions you can make when designing a visualization. So we're going to use a few of these as examples. Which one of these visualizations is better? On the left, we have a rank bump chart. On the right, we have a dumbbell chart. If you have the hunch that this is a trick question, you're right, it depends on the goal. If we consider the goal, the viewer will compare the ranks of countries over time. The left rank bump chart does that more effectively because you can more easily see the countries switching places. If we consider the goal, the viewer will recall the percentile change for each country. The right dumbbell chart does that more effectively. The left chart doesn't even encode that data. Okay, let's try redesigning this pie chart based on this goal. In what ways could you change this graph to better achieve this learning objective? The viewer will recall that categories A and B together make up about 50% of the total. Two things that I might do would be to use color more effectively. Because this is a pie chart, each slice needs to be distinguishable from each other, but I'm going to make them all variants of gray. We could also lump them all together, if we wanted to combine them into an other category. Because our goal is to have the viewer remember the percentages of A and B, I'm going to highlight those in another color. Additionally, I'm going to make the title of the graph the main takeaway that I want the viewer to recall. These design choices I made were in line with common datavis practices. So I'm not saying to throw away all of those best practices out the window, but to use them intentionally in a way that helps you achieve your goal. Okay, pop quiz time. Which one of these graphs do you think best achieves the goal? The viewer will recall the overall increase from 2004 to 2022. They're all well-designed graphs, but which one for this goal? Pause this video now to figure out the answer. The correct answer is coming in 3, 2, 1. So I would choose the graph on the right. And I would do that because the other charts show the increase for each country separately, which means that you would technically be able to calculate the overall increase by doing some math, but the chart on the right aggregates them as well as shows each country's increase. And it also annotates the overall increase, 77%, right at the bottom there, which helps to support this goal. Now, if you had two goals, to recall the percent increase over time and to compare the ranks of countries over time, you might pick the first slope graph. When you have multiple goals, you can consider trade-offs of which designs might be good for some goals over others. Another reason why learning objectives can be helpful is that you can point to them when discussing why you chose certain design decisions. They can be a tool for communication, where if somebody says, oh, why didn't you just use a slope graph? You can have this defined goal in your pocket to refer to and say, here's my goal, this is why I chose this graph. Okay, so hopefully you see some usefulness for using learning objectives. You can use them to communicate a goal within a team or to external clients. You can refer to them to make better design decisions or choose amongst several options. And finally, in our next video, we're going to cover how to use them to create assessments for evaluations. And those can also be used to help choose amongst several designs. Thanks for watching. My name's Elsie, and this video was brought to you by me and my collaborator, Eitan Adar. Together, we've worked on several research papers on the topic of learning objectives, which will be listed in the description if you want to learn more. Check out the next video in this series, where I will teach you how to create multiple choice questions for evaluating visualizations.